Um, Liam, just on the players returning from international duties, have they all come back healthy and strong and everything's okay?
Yeah, mixed to be fair. No, really good for Matt Smith to get the experience he got obviously in the first game playing against some world class players. So he's come back in a good place. Daniel the same, as has Dawson. JJ a little frustrating in terms of the work he's had while he's away. In terms of the work he's missed out on here. Could have probably come back in slightly better shape, but we'll get him back up to speed.
But there's no knocks, no injuries.
No injuries, all fit.
Good stuff. Um, and I guess I said to Josh McEachran, and I know that you talked a little bit about this after the game against Oxford, but um, and we're going to come on to the fact that it's been a really good couple of weeks training, but it must have been so positive and so useful to go into that period with those points tucked under your belt. That was a real bonus, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive. I think, and also the performance to go with it. I think it's the two together. I think the we said about it after Oxford, but the resilience, the fight, the organisation out of possession, and then some of the moments of quality in possession. The way we won the game, and then obviously to get the 3 points, and it's massive going into such a long break without a game. The feeling when the lads come in after that versus if you'd lost is obviously completely different. So we said it's around managing your emotions, but you can't help, you can't not have a bit of a boost and a lift off of that, given we had a couple of tough games before it.
And that training time that you've had, really useful, really positive, very important. And as you said in the past, just time to breathe.
Yeah, especially when I don't want to keep talking about a new group because we're a few months in, but if you look at a big chunk of it, we've not had the group in terms of training time, so it's really good. With the group, the lads that weren't away in international duty, to get some working on the grass, and with just sort of less intensity and less pressure in terms of the turnaround for games. So I feel we've got some really good working. The lads have had some decent rest, which I also feel is important. But we've done some really good work. They've trained really well. The behaviours, the attitude, the intensity, the discipline in training, and then on top of that, some of the quality's been really good. So it's been a good few weeks. The big challenge now is let's take it into the game tomorrow. Let's transfer the work that we've done in training and the quality in training. Let's take it into the game tomorrow.
Um, we just had a chat with Josh McEachran, and such a key player for you, isn't he? He does so much. There are so many elements to his game that can improve all areas of the pitch.
Yeah, he's pivotal if you look at him in terms of our build up and just in general in possession. His bravery to take it under pressure, his awareness, his all round quality with the ball. Is right up there in the league for me in terms of players able to do what he does. So he's really important for the group, and I think he's so calm and composed, which it's another thing that some of the other guys can learn from, and he's the experiences he's had in his career, the level he's played at. There's loads of bits that the lads can take off of him. So he's it's great to have him back, and I think at the same point is now challenges other people around him to step up as well.
There are elements, I guess, that maybe weren't as you wanted them with regards to maybe the link up between midfield and your strikers that he helps with. He does a big role there, in that regard.
Yeah, it comes down to his quality and awareness again. He's the detail in how he breaks lines, the quality of the pass and seeing it is terrific. So I think it's important for us to have him back, and I think in terms of now for him trying to build up some momentum with matches and get a level of consistency, because second half of last season we saw that he was consistently in the team and his level went higher and higher. So obviously it was a bit of a blow to pick up the injury that he did early on, but now he's back. He's obviously got some good minutes in against Oxford. He's had a couple of solid training weeks, and it's now a case of can he continue that momentum and get to the. I think he's got even higher levels that he can get to, which is the challenge for him and us. How do we get him consistently at that the level that we know he's capable of?
It's one of those areas in the game that I always find fascinating because it's not necessarily about what he does with the ball. It's about the other players having the faith in him almost that they'll make the front players will make those runs knowing that he'll probably find them. The defenders or even the wing backs will play the ball to him knowing that there's an out there and that he can get it somewhere. I know it's just all that psychology of the team. It's almost like a really important cog that makes everything tick.
Yeah, and a big part of it's the confidence. I think, giving him the ball, knowing that he's able to, in most situations, take care of it, whether it's tight areas, whether he's got time on it. It gives you a lot of confidence playing into him, knowing that he's able to, work out situations and he's got the quality to do so. Same as like you said, the front players knowing that the ball's going to come, knowing his game and what he does, you're able just to time things well. So he's done really well, as have some of the other guys. I think that's important to stress. We're not just a Josh McEachran team. He's a huge part of it. But when I look at Oxford, there was a lot of other people that stepped up on that day and really took responsibility with not just with the ball but without the ball as well. And I think that has to be the foundations now in terms of can we consistently deliver what we did out of possession against Oxford, but add some more quality in possession. And that's been there in training this week, which is like I said, what we'll be challenging the players with tomorrow is transfer that into the game.
Heard some, and read some really positive things about Matt Smith in his international time. Is it about maybe getting a bit more from Matt on match days?
Yeah, I have to say I thought his game against Oxford was probably up there in terms of what he's how he's played in an MK shirt. I thought he was terrific that day in terms of you see just his sheer work rate, how his intensity in his actions that he's able to repeatedly do is terrific. He out of possession I thought he was excellent against Oxford in terms of killing space inside and then jumping out to get pressure on the ball. But then if you look at the two goals, he plays a pivotal part in terms of producing moments of quality. So that's the same with him now. Everything's about consistency, and it's the same for a lot of the individuals that we know. We've got some really good players. We know that they've got qualities. It's now around consistently over 50, 55 games, churning it out week in, week out. And that's individually, but that's also collectively. I think, if you look at the games we've had so far this season, throughout, different periods, we've shown really high moments of quality in different blocks. What we now need to do is bring it all together more consistently as a group. So, like I talk around Oxford, but I thought we blocked really well. Sheffield Wednesday, we pressed well. Aki, first half, we built up really well. Morecambe, we finished really well. So it's in there in the team. The challenge now for us as a staff, but also the players, is how do we consistently bring all of them phases together and produce performances that will get us results week in, week out.
Peterborough side, obviously relegated for the Championship, they're packed up with quality, and you kind of expect them to be one of the sides fighting in the top six. They're a really good team.
Yeah, really, I think again a club that has real clarity on how they operate. I think if you look at the success they've had in selling players over the years, and a particular type of player, predominantly attackers. They produce some real dangerous players there by the way they play. And when you watch them play, they're extremely dangerous going forward. They've got pace. They're able to play through. They're able to be direct. Able to go 1v1. So we know they're dangerous. Obviously, off the back of coming down, but maintaining and keeping a lot of the squad they had from last season brings another level of consistency. So we know it's a tough game, but I think that we'll say that every single week between now and the end of the season. I think you look at the league, it is so difficult. It is so tight in terms of the margins. There's every single game is a real challenge.
Do you think the League One's stronger this year than it was last?
Yeah, I personally do. I think if you look at it in terms of just the work that clubs did, I think did in the summer. I think from a recruitment perspective, and I think we're a year after COVID where budgets have gone up at a lot of the clubs. If you look at some of the investments from some of the teams that maybe finished bottom 6, 8 last season, they've invested in some probably extremely experienced proven League One players that come at a cost. So I think when you look at it, the teams that were bottom 6, 8 last year have spent a good chunk of money that all of a sudden now the margins and I think that the league probably reflects that if you look at it, that the margins between the teams are a lot tighter and a lot closer. So I think it's a real tough league.
Thanks, Liam.
No worries.
Of course, with the block of training that you've had, Liam, we were talking about, certainly before the break, getting the players on the same page as each other and having these 2 weeks of training. I imagine that's going to have helped massively.
Yeah, I mean the measure will be in the next few weeks of games. I think it's not all on tomorrow. It's not a case of going right. We've had 2-3 weeks of training. You expect it all to come together tomorrow. Now that's not how it works. What it does do is it advances players in their understanding of where what's expected. What does it look like, and we can just reinforce some of the principles of the game of how we play. So Yeah, I think that it doesn't just happen in 2 weeks. It's a longer term process where players have to develop and learn and understand how to play the game here. And of course we had four away as well, so that it's great. We've had a large chunk of the group, but obviously we've had a few go away as well. So but at the same point, I think it just a little bit of headspace and a bit of breathing space for the players is important as well. It is, I look at October, what we've got coming up. It is so intense that even if you're off it, you bang into the next game. You're recovering. Your head switches from one game to the next. You're constantly reflecting on performances, which when you have a bit of a longer period, you're able to kind of just empty your head a little bit and consolidate probably some of the experiences and the work that we had throughout August.
And I suppose not just for the players, but for you as well. Not the opportunity to clear your head a little bit, get out of that game sort of mentality.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, part of me, I suppose I should love it, and I do. Don't get me wrong, I love being around my family and spending time with my family. But I'm also an obsessive. I can't help it. I went up to watch Peterborough Port Vale last Saturday when the lads are off, and I think it's an unhealthy obsession. But it was really good. I think to be able to give the staff and some downtime for them to kind of breathe a little bit as well, because how we drive the program is there's a huge amount of work involved, and we've got a terrific group of staff that do everything they can to basically provide a platform for the players to perform to their highest level. So it was really good, I think, for the staff to have a bit of a break, and I certainly enjoyed a bit of time with the family as well. That is for sure.
Slightly left field sort of idea for you here, though. The chairman had suggested earlier this week, given the energy prices skyrocketing everywhere, not just in people's houses, but of course the football club as well. He's mentioned that potentially having earlier kickoff times than 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Are you in favour of that? Does it make an awful lot of difference if everyone kicks off at 1 o'clock in your head as opposed to 3, or is it something you'd be in favour of?
I'll be totally honest. I haven't really thought about it one bit, so I'd be rushing into an answer. I haven't thought about it, to be honest, Toby. It's one of those. It won't be my decision anyway. Let's be clear on that. So I'll provide my opinion, in house when and if I get asked it. But it's one of those we'll just have to see.